What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Loomian Legacy Tri-Threat video. Today, we will be covering team building, its fundamentals, and me personally team building as we go along, according to the guide. To be clear, this series is mainly to teach the basics of what you should know when you're playing Loomian Legacy at a competitive level. Naturally, you don't need to use these guides, but a coherent team is probably better than some slop you've slapped together. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. When building a team, a widely asked question is, where do I start? Well, my dear viewer, look no further than cores. Cores, in its simplest form, are a group of two or more Loomians that synergize well. For example, Phagonaut Borealisk. Phagonaut provides good braking power for bulky waters and pivot, and Borealisk provides speed control and good revenge killing viability. Now, cores aren't forced to be offensive Loomians, but are usually categorized into three main groups: offense cores, balance cores, and defensive cores. Now, to go over each one briefly. Offense cores are cores of two or more offensive Loomians. Usually feature good type synergy, example an ice type and earth type, provide two different offensive roles to them, and every Loomian here is usually fast and frail, or provides a lot of pressure and damage potential. Now, this is just a basic explanation, but it holds quite true. Offensive cores are usually featured in three types of teams, being hyper offense, offense, and balance. We will cover playstyles in the next section, but now on to balance cores. Balance cores feature offensive and defensive Loomians, usually feature at least one pivot option, and offensive Loomians here usually have good speed stats, but aren't limited to being insanely fast. Balance cores are probably the least popular, and the hardest to build around. Balance cores are usually featured exclusively on balance and semi-stall. Now, for a final core. Defensive cores feature Loomians with a good amount of bulk and usually provide pressure through passive damage like hazards or poison damage, and have at least one way to shut down offensive Loomians, for example malware or status spreading. Defensive cores are featured on a lot of teams, including balance, semi-stall, and stall. Now, for clarification, this doesn't mean offense teams can't have a defensive core, or semi-stall can't have an offensive core. It just means they're almost exclusively built around those cores. The only archetypes this applies true to, however, are hyper offense, which doesn't feature any defensive Loomians, and stall, which doesn't feature offensive Loomians. Now, as stated earlier, you can't really choose a core without two things: picking a Loomian and picking an archetype. It depends on what you want to do, in which order you want to do this in, but I prefer to When building a core or picking a certain Loomian, it's always good to look at current usage. Servers like Ace host bi-weekly tournaments and put usage for those tournaments up publicly for everyone to see. I use those myself for picking a core. It's also good to use the damage calculator just to help you pick specific Loomians. Now, for this team, I'm going to start off with the core I said earlier, Phagonaut Borealisk, an offensive core. This will be boost Borealisk to outspeed almost everything in the game, and Power Cuffs magnify Phagonaut, a good sweeper with pivot and jolt as an option. Defensively, this core is weak to water, earth, fire, and brawler. It would be good of us to grab a plant or air type here, but we struggle against timber. Generally, in team building, there's a few things that you should always try to have on your team. You should need an electric, light, and spirit immunity, a pivot option, hazard removal, and a win condition. To explain briefly, Zip Zap, Flash and Flee, and Fadeaway are all extremely popular pivoting options. if you can't threaten to block them. Pivot also is really important, even if it is blockable, because it allows you to reposition yourself and get strong Loomians in. Hazards are always scary, so you need some way of removing them. Try also grabbing a toxic and fire type for icicle traps and poison barbs respectively. A win condition is some sort of pressuring Loomian and can change from match to match. This ties back into the team preview section, so go check that out. Now, no type of core is exclusively better than the others. It depends on the archetype and the way you play. I almost exclusively play balance and hyper offense, but I'll use balance today because it's the one I'm more comfortable with and is good in the current meta. As I said earlier, we are weak to Earth, Water, Fire and Brawler. Building off our offensive core, I'm going to pick up Gargoyle in defense. It has good bulk, provides a source of removal, utility and defense. We are still left crippled by Himbar, so I've decided to go Chartiki, our second defensive Loomian. It also melts icicle traps for Gargoyle and has access to hazard removal. Its combustible ability makes it immune to fire type attacks, and it's naturally immune to light with its plant type. Now, I want a water resist here, and I think Loomian Army will do the job. It has pivot, and Power Napper takes full advantage of it, slapping out restrictive armor, and the rest is standard. To speed things up, we'll grab Buzzalem for strong melee moves and coverage, while still being able to click other moves without a specialty item, and Miraith for good ranged bulk, and mainly for more phasing. And there we have it, a coherent team built just using this guide. If you can tell, the team we just built is the one being used in the background, and the team code for that team will also be pinned in the comments. Now, not every team will be perfect. I've gone back on millions of good teams just because I failed once with them, but as a PvPer, I've had to overcome that and reuse those teams to see their full potential. This team still has a bit of a rough time into Chronix, relying on Loomians like Miraith and Chartiki just to deal with it. Chronix is also the most popular Loomian at the moment, which really doesn't help. This is why team testing is so important. You can't be sure you always beat a certain Loomian without testing the team. Now, I hope you've understood what I'm saying, but if not, let me make it a bit briefer and clearer for you. So, you should start off with a core. Find Loomians that synergize with the core and build off weaknesses. Get Loomians that deal with problems such as pivot or hazards. And finally, patch up any holes by swapping out members through team testing. Now, I've done all my talking. Let's let the battle go on. If you've watched this far, thank you for that. I have big plans for this channel in the future, especially after Route 9 comes out, and I'll be extremely happy to be a top PvP content creator by that point. If you've enjoyed this video, do consider subscribing and maybe even liking the video. Or maybe not, I don't mind. As long as this video gets close to the amount of support my recent videos have been getting, I'll be happy with it. Anyways, that's from me this video. Bookworm out. See you guys in about 2 to 3 days when part 3 comes out.